Turned to East Central as a part-time student and eventually earned his Associate of Applied Science degree in 1998. He then went on to earn his bachelor's degree in business administration from Lindenwood University. When Tony graduated from East Central, he was well into his career with SCI. He began his work there in 1991 and was named vice president and partner 10 years later. Today, his role includes serving as the Director of Business Development, overseeing corporate customer service and marketing, strategic planning, and acquisitions. I have the distinct privilege of working directly with Tony on the executive board of the East Central College Foundation. He's been a member of the foundation board since 2008, serves on the executive board as a director at large, chairs the governance committee, serves on finance committee, and has been instrumental in assisting with the planning for the Foundation's upcoming endowment campaign. Foundation Executive Director Shannon Gruss describes Tony as exemplary, and I think that's a perfect and apt description. In addition to his professional and civic engagement, he has coached youth soccer and baseball, is a member of St. Joseph Church at Nyer, and is a third-degree knight for the Knights of Columbus in Washington. Tony and his wife, Michelle, live in Union with their children, Jacob and Caitlin. They're here today. I'm proud to call Tony a friend and a colleague, and particularly proud today to present Tony Kreutz with the 2015 East Central College Outstanding Alumni Award. This is something that's unusual and doesn't happen every commencement, because today we also dedicate this facility. As we turn now to the dedication ceremony, I would like to call to the podium Jim Perry, President of the Board of Trustees.
Thank you, Dr. Bauer. On behalf of the present board and the past board of trustees, we'd like to welcome you here for this dedication. Dr. Bauer has already introduced the present board, but we have some members of the past board and some of the original board that I would like to introduce at this time. We have 7 living Board of Trustee members, past Board of Trustee members, and we have 2 original, and they are Bob Hanson, and I'm going to ask you to stand up when I call your name. Bob Hanson is one of the original board members for East Central College. Second one I have is Don Means. I don't know if Don's here, but he is also one of the original board members. The rest of the board members were later on. Mr. Rich Mooney. Is Rich here? I thought I saw him. Here, he's right back here. Mr. Gail Wood. Don't know if Gail's here or not. Mr. Board Eversole. Oh, yeah, there he's back there. Charlie Betts and Mrs. Kathy Scott. These are still the past one. Everything we do needs to be built on a good, solid foundation. The original board certainly gave us that. The first Board of Trustees, led by George Bisher, worked tirelessly, passing bond issues, finding land for the college, promoting East Central, and then they had to go out and look for a very special person for president of the college. The president would have the responsibility of hiring administrators, faculty, and staff while housing the college in temporary quarters and overseeing all the building projects. Donald E. Shook was that special individual chosen by the board to be the founding president of East Central College. Dr. Shook was the president at East Central for 18 years. I can't think of any person who has done more for East Central College and is more deserving than Don Shook. The board, the present board, has chosen to name this multipurpose building after Don Shook. As of tonight, This building will be known as the Donald D. Shook Student Center. At this time, I'd like to turn the program back over to our current president, Dr. John Bauer.
When you approach East Central College on Highway 50 from the east, the first thing that you see, the first thing that identifies this college is this building with the large East Central College emblazoned on the east facade. This building, in a sense, identifies to the public what this place is and what we do. So it's perfectly appropriate that the building that serves to identify the college be named for the individual whose work here identified what this college has become since its founding in 1968. You've heard much about Dr. Shook today and his history with the college. A bit about this facility. This was phase 2 in the development of the campus. It was completed in 1973, constructed at a cost of just under $2 million. The building opened for the start of fall classes in 1973. Funding came from the voters who approved a $1.2 million bond issue in 1971, approved that with 88% approval. And when you think about that, nearly 9 out of 10 voters could agree on one thing. They agreed on East Central and its future. Funding also came in the form of a federal grant of about $800,000. If you have a chance, I would point to the plaque that's outside the gym. I love how that grant is described because it really gets at the heart of what we're talking about when we say we received a federal grant. This building was constructed with the assistance of the American people. What a powerful statement. Over the years, this building has housed, among other things, classrooms, theater productions, concerts, athletic events, the fitness center, a television studio, the cafeteria, bookstore, student newspaper, and of course, commencement. For more than 40 years, students have crossed the stage in this building and stepped out as alumni of East Central College. This is the critical point. The work of Don Shook as president of the college led to the opportunity for thousands of students to earn a degree or certificate, move on to the next phase in their academic or professional careers, start to build the lives they had dreamed about. Perhaps there can be no greater legacy than this fact. Over 23,000 students attended East Central College during the 18 years that Dr. Shook served as president. When a student attends here, he or she benefits from the work of Dr. Shook and the faculty and the staff and the trustees who worked shoulder to shoulder to establish and grow this institution to maturity. Without that work and vision, we would not be here today. So it's fitting indeed that when a student leaves here as a graduate of East Central College, as today's graduates will do, he or she has received that honor in the Donald D. Shook Student Center. We're pleased today that Dr. Shook is joined by many members of his family, especially his wife June, their sons Greg and John and their families. I'd ask them to stand and be recognized again this afternoon. Thank you. The board, in March of this year, voted to name the building in honor of Dr. Shook, and now it's time to formally dedicate the facility. I'd ask Dr. Shook and Mr. Perry to please step forward, and we'll unveil the dedication plaque commemorating this honor. There we go. Let me read this. Dr. Donald D. Shook was the founding president of the college, serving from 1968 to 1986. He was the first employee hired by the Junior College District of East Central Missouri and was president when the doors opened to students for the first time, September 15, 1969. During his tenure, the site for the permanent campus was acquired and 4 phases of campus construction were completed. This included the completion of the multipurpose building in August 1973. More than 23,000 students attended the college over the 18 years that Dr. Shook led the institution. Recognizing his instrumental role in the establishment and growth of the college, trustees named the multipurpose building the Donald D. Shook Student Center. Dr. Shook, congratulations, and thank you for making this institution what it has become today.
Thank you. I'm not sure how you prepare for this kind of honor, so I'm going to start by having a drink of water. One thing's for sure, you need to say a very strong and enthusiastic thank you. Thank you to many people. I did read something in the last few days that made recommendations on what do you do when you're somewhat in the spotlight. And I have that feeling right now. And one of the recommendations was to be gracious and humble. So I'm going to try to follow that in my few remarks here this afternoon. Certainly, this is an honor, and I thank the Board of Trustees very much for it. I also want to thank the faculty and staff of the past. As was said, a lot of blood, sweat, and tears. I remember when we first started, one of the most often questions that was asked, well, what are we going to do about this? Somebody said, well, let's do it like we did last year. There wasn't any last year. We had to make a decision. So I apologize some for the facilities we had in the first few years. They were lacking in some respects, but I have no apology for the instruction that took place from day one. The faculty and staff did an outstanding job throughout the history. My experience in the community colleges and the new community colleges of this state was very challenging, full of challenges. But in addition to being challenged, it was satisfying. And when you can have a career that you find challenging and satisfying, then I say that's a good career. This recognition is something that I am extremely proud of. Proud to be on the campus with buildings of Bisher, Hanson, and Anglin, a very distinguished group. My primary hope today is that my name on this building will serve as motivating factor for people of the future to meet the challenges and have success. Thank you again.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for attending today's ceremony. At the conclusion of the ceremony, there will be a reception in honor of the graduates, our award recipients, and Dr. Shook and his family. And we'd ask that you please join us one floor down in the cafeteria of the Donald D. Shook Student Center. I would ask that the audience remain seated during the recessional. And just a note, as we exit the gym, perhaps arrange to meet your loved ones and friends downstairs, elsewhere in the building, so that we can keep the doors clear so that others can easily exit the gym and get to the reception. At this time, I would ask retiring faculty member Rick Sumner to retrieve the mace, leave the recessional. Thank you for attending. Congratulations, graduates.